You're listening to the AstroMommy Newsletter read-aloud version of my daily horoscope published on Substack. If you would like to read this, please click on the link in the description box below. Without further ado, here is the daily horoscope. Jack and the Beanstalk, Venus Trine Uranus, Grand Trine between the Sun, Pluto, and Algol. Daily horoscope for Monday, September 19th, 2022. Welcome to the AstroMommy Newsletter, a daily horoscope that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. The AstroMommy Newsletter is a reader-supported publication, meaning it only thrives thanks to the generous support of lovely people just like you. The two best ways you can support my work are to share this newsletter with a friend and to consider upgrading to a paid subscription. Whether you're a first-time reader or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in my community. I hope you enjoy today's horoscope and card reading. Blessings. Good morning, friends. Today, instead of starting the newsletter with shop updates, I'm sure that you all know that you can find links to the shop and my website at the bottom of the newsletter. I want to read you all a quick fairy tale that I believe is so perfect for the transits going on right now. If you are already familiar with this story, feel free to skip down to the astrology. Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack and the Beanstalk first appeared as the story of Jack Spriggins and the Enchanted Bean in 1734. The illustrations that are featured here in the newsletter are by Arthur Rackham, 1918 edition of English Fairy Tales retold by Flora Annie Steele. Once upon a time, there lived a poor widow and her son Jack. One day, Jack's mother told him to sell their only cow. Jack went to the market, and on the way, he met a man who wanted to buy his cow. Jack asked, "What will you give me in return for my cow?" The man answered, "I will give you 5 magic beans." Jack took the magic beans and gave the man the cow. But when he reached home, Jack's mother was very angry. She said, "You fool! He took away your cow and gave you some beans." She threw the beans out of the window. Jack was very sad and went to sleep without dinner. The next day, when Jack woke up in the morning and looked out of the window, he saw that a huge beanstalk had grown from his magic beans. He climbed up the beanstalk and reached a kingdom in the sky. There lived a giant and his wife. Jack went inside the house and found the giant's wife in the kitchen. Jack said, "Could you please give me something to eat? I am so hungry." The kind wife gave him bread and some milk. While he was eating, the giant came home. The giant was very big and looked very fearsome. Jack was terrified and went and hid inside. The giant cried, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." The wife said, "There is no boy in here." So the giant ate his food and then went to his room. He took out his sacks of gold coins, counted them, and kept them aside. Then he went to sleep. In the night, Jack crept out of his hiding place, took 1 sack of gold coins, and climbed down the beanstalk. At home, he gave the coins to his mother. His mother was very happy, and they lived well for some time. After some time, Jack climbed the beanstalk and went to the giant's house again. Once again, Jack asked the giant's wife for food, but while he was eating, the giant returned. Jack leapt up in fright and went and hid under the bed. The giant cried, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." The wife said, "There is no boy in here." The giant ate his food and went to his room. There he took out a hen. He shouted, "Lay!" and the hen laid a golden egg. When the giant fell asleep, Jack took the hen and climbed down the beanstalk. Jack's mother was very happy with him. After some days, Jack once again climbed the beanstalk and went to the giant's castle. For the 3rd time, Jack met the giant's wife and asked for some food. Once again, the giant's wife gave him bread and milk. But while Jack was eating, the giant came home. "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread," cried the giant. "Don't be silly. There is no boy in here," said his wife. The giant had a magical harp that could play beautiful songs. While the giant slept, Jack took the harp and was about to leave. Suddenly the magic harp cried, "Help, master! A boy is stealing me!" The giant woke up and saw Jack with the harp. Furious, he ran after Jack, but Jack was too fast for him. He ran down the beanstalk and reached home. The giant followed him down. Jack quickly ran inside his house and fetched an axe. He began to chop the beanstalk. The giant fell and died. Jack and his mother were now very rich, and they lived happily ever after. Now that I've read you this fable, let's get into the astrology. On Monday, we have some really fated and destined transits happening, and one that won't happen again until the end of the year. And what I'm talking about is Venus in Virgo making a trine to Uranus and the North Node in Taurus. This won't happen again until Venus is in Capricorn at the end of December. The Sun is still in a trine to Pluto as well. Not only that, but Mercury is still opposing Jupiter and also making two sesquiquadrates at the same time, one to Uranus and one to Saturn. Plus, Jupiter is at the midpoint between the Saturn-Uranus square that is building. We'll get into all of that in just a moment, but before we do, let's talk about the transits of the moon today. The moon is in Cancer, starting the day off at 10 degrees, and during the day, she will hit the midpoint between Venus and Uranus at 17 to 18 degrees of Cancer, making two favorable sextiles to both planets, essentially joining and strengthening this fated trine. Not to mention that the moon in this position is also making a sextile to the North Node and a trine to the South Node. So this is a time when we ask ourselves, what makes me feel the most comfortable? Who sees me for who I am and sees the real me and understands the beauty, the love, and the value that I am trying to create and manifest in my life? With this trine sextile combination, I feel that there is a major fated opportunity to use this moon in Cancer's initiatory energy to bring something great into our lives. Because remember, Cancer is a cardinal sign and wants to start things and get things going. The cardinal signs start all the seasons throughout the year. Aries starts spring, Cancer starts summer, Libra starts fall, and Capricorn starts winter. So when the moon is in one of these signs, we feel like getting things going. The moon will also be making a square to Chiron at 14 degrees of Aries. This could be like making a decision based on something that feels good to your ego or your individual destiny. It's a decision that's ultimately just for you, so it could feel kind of crazy to put yourself out there because by doing so, you're admitting that you want something. It does, however, have the support from Venus and Uranus and the North Node, so if you actually take the initiative and it comes into your reality, things will change. So there's a decision on the table. Do you go for what you want in your heart, or do you let the opportunity pass you by? By the evening, the moon will quincunx Saturn in Aquarius, and at the same time, Venus and Uranus will be almost in a perfect trine. The answer is but moments away. By midnight, when Venus and Uranus are in perfect alignment, the moon reaches the 23rd degree and begins to trine Neptune. This feels like the hallelujah moment to me, if you made choices today that have supported your highest, most positive good. Or it also has the potential to feel like a drowning moment if you failed to act on the opportunities that came up. We have several transits that are supporting this same idea. Venus in Virgo, trine Uranus in the North Node in Taurus. This transit brings something into your life that feels like love at first sight, and it comes with the rush of all the good feelings that come with that. It could be wild, unusual, and create a sudden shift that changes your destiny in some way. That's why I feel it may be an opportunity that presents itself that you will have to make a choice to seize. Taurus and Virgo are both earth signs, so this is an opportunity that can become concrete in your reality if you choose to take it. It's like when Jack and the Beanstalk is given the bag of magic beans in exchange for his cow. Jack surely knew that the beans would need to be planted, which takes physical action, in order for the true gift to be given. And then it's not without risk, right? Uranus brings an air of risk to it, always, because this energy shatters, destroys, and shakes loose, like the earth as the beanstalk emerges and climbs to the sky, or like the unexpected twist in the story when his mother throws the beans out the window. So there may come into your life today, or maybe it already presented itself over the weekend, an opportunity, some magic beans, and if you take this opportunity and use it, it has the potential to change things forever. Now this could be as grand as Jack and the Beanstalk, or it could be more mundane, like deciding to remodel your house or paint your bathroom a different color. But what you choose really ends up changing things in a positive way, and it has a ripple effect. Or maybe you decide to dye your hair a shocking pink and it really makes a statement for you, changes how people see you, and changes your perception of yourself. You feel more wild, free, and vibrant. At the same time as this new and exciting affair comes into your life, Mercury and Jupiter are still in opposition. So if a decision did not come to fruition during their exact opposition over the weekend, then people could still be weighing things out. Whilst this transit is happening, two sesquiquadrates form between Mercury and Uranus and Mercury and Saturn. delaying the result. So if a decision was made, there is something that has to happen first, causing a delay until it can actually come into play. Some red tape or some obstacle. Once Mercury conjoins with the Sun at the end of the week and then moves back into his home sign of Virgo, things will look a lot better. But right now, it's like we are sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for the verdict in an enthralling court case. Bringing it back to our Jack and the Beanstalk reference, if we planted real beans, we would have to wait for them to grow and have faith that they would. This teaches us patience, among other virtues. Another transit that is happening is Jupiter in Aries has reached the midpoint between Uranus and Saturn, creating two semisquares to both planets. A semisquare is another transit that represents waiting for things to happen, but unlike the sesquiquadrate, where an action has taken place or a decision has been made and now we have to wait for the fruits of that decision, a semisquare is like trying to push something through prematurely. So with Jupiter in Aries in this position between Uranus and Saturn, this is like, let's say if the fairy tale were different and Jack was the one who planted the beans, this transit would be him yelling at the beans to grow faster. It doesn't matter how much Jack yells at them, they will not grow any faster than nature wants them to grow. So it's like a little kid knowing that Christmas is coming and just wants it to be Christmas today and has a little fit that it's not happening right now. That is the energy of the semisquare, in my opinion. And especially with Jupiter, this emotion could feel big, and in Aries, it could also come with a big head. The ego could be a bit inflated at this time, and one may feel justified in their demands for things to happen now, but the divine timing has its own timing. That's why it's called divine timing. Jupiter can't push Saturn and Uranus around, even though he is the largest planet in our solar system. He still can't make them do anything in this semi-square position and while being retrograde. Speaking of retrogrades, we have 6 planets in retrograde right now, so if you thought it was just Mercury, it's not. I haven't really talked about this very much in the newsletter, but we have a major pileup of retrograde planets right now. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury. The only planets that are direct right now are Mars and Venus, and Mars is in shadow, approaching his retrograde at the end of October. That leaves Venus, and she is in her fall in Virgo. So this trine from Venus to Uranus and the North Node is a major blessing. In horary, the planets represent actual people, places, and things. So when one is retrograde, it literally signifies that person or that thing going back to an older position. So an old job coming back, an old partner coming back, or the person going back to an old relationship, an illness coming back, or something being shipped back to the original owner, etc. So with so many planets in retrograde motion, there is major revision happening. But it could also mean receiving something that was formerly going away from you, and that could be positive. It just depends upon the situation, but it's really interesting to see so many planets all retrograde at once. Getting back to Jack and the Beanstalk and how this story fits these transits, here are a few more of my thoughts. Jupiter in Aries opposite Mercury in Libra. This is a great combo for the dilemma in the fable of Jack and the Beanstalk, because on one hand, he is fearless and climbs a stalk into the clouds, and then on the other, he is a thief who feels justified for some reason to steal the golden goose and the magic harp so that his family can survive. And that brings me to the Sun Trine Pluto. We do what we need to do in order to survive. Pluto always brings up survival. My father says that with any Pluto transit, our very survival gets tested. The Sun is still in a trine with Pluto. Even though this trine perfected on Sunday, these two planets will still be within a 3-degree orb of one another until the Sun reaches the 29th degree of Virgo on September 22nd, the fall equinox. So we will be feeling this energy all week until the major shift when the Sun ingresses into Libra and fall officially begins. So the Sun is trine Pluto, and both just happen to be in a trine to Algol, the demon star, creating a grand trine. This is very interesting because usually I associate the fixed star Algol with pretty intense, nasty stuff, but I think in this instance, this grand trine could symbolize using the power of Algol for good and could be amazing. The star Algol is located in the constellation Perseus and is said to be the blinking eye of the Medusa. In the myth of Perseus and Medusa, Perseus cuts off Medusa's head and then uses the head to turn his enemies into stone. So this trine could bring about a major personal transformation of some kind. Life and death come to mind, the beautiful, amazing birth of a baby, and also the passing of a loved one. Both are huge transformations of light coming into this physical plane of existence and light leaving Earth as we know it from our perspective. But as someone who believes in reincarnation and that our souls never die, death is also a birth, just into a new realm or a new body. So I feel like when the Sun trines Pluto, it's a really special time of year where there's an opportunity to transform your life, either by gaining power, having an intense experience, witnessing a birth or a death, and just clearing the energy, bringing a major dose of sunshine into those dark recesses of ourselves that need to be bathed in light, healed, and cleaned out. This could feel intense as the light of the sun has access to the darkest and deepest feelings with the trine, but it offers such an amazing moment of spiritual growth. Even in the midst of this beauty, we could wonder if we will survive. The sun has the power to heal and make things thrive, but it also has the power to burn. So we may feel very vulnerable in this situation. Let's pick a card for the day that can act as our tool, our sunshade, if you will, to offer a bit of protection from this intense transit. 9. The Hermit Reversed. The Hermit upright is the way shower, the lantern bearer, and represents the end of a cycle, being able to look within and find peace and rejuvenation in solitude. On this card, we see an old man with a long beard, wearing a long robe and holding a lantern and walking stick with a bell on it. The light in the lantern is the light of the moon, reflecting the sun's light in a way that we can actually look at it. There is a skull in the bottom left of the card, among the brush or branches of a tree, signifying the fact that the hermit helps people cross over the thresholds in life, ending and completing something while simultaneously beginning something new. In the reversed position, I feel that it says there is self-doubt, and where there is self-doubt, there is inevitably self-criticism. The hermit is represented by the zodiac sign of Virgo, and one of the challenging traits of the Virgo energy is perfectionism and cutting self-talk. So I think that this card, as our tool, our sunshade for these intense but potentially amazing choices that we are faced with this week, is reminding us to be kind to ourselves and others. 1. Do not let the inner voice in your head be nasty or critical and cut your spirits down. 2. Do not be critical, judgmental, and harsh towards others. Stay grounded and trust your inner guidance system and your higher self, the part of yourself that speaks with kindness and love. I love how the lantern is supposed to be holding the light of the moon to show the way, because we can't directly look at the sun, but we can gaze upon the moon, and in that strange way we are actually gazing at the sun, but not having any of the ill effects from it. So there's your sunshade, the moon, and the moon card in the tarot is about being authentic and making choices that honor who we really are. I would love to know if this resonated with you. Please leave a comment or reply to this email. I love hearing about what is happening in your lives and how the newsletters are intertwining with that. I hope this is helpful. Until tomorrow, AstroMommy.
Today's horoscope was brought to you by Venus in Virgo, making a trine to Uranus and the North Node in Taurus. Sun is still in a trine to Pluto, Mercury is still opposing Jupiter, and also making 2 sesquiquadrates at the same time, 1 to Uranus and 1 to Saturn. Jupiter is at the midpoint between the Saturn-Uranus square that is building and the transits of the moon in Cancer. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. Today's card was pulled from the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot, available on Amazon. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a small commission, but there are no additional costs to you. I don't share or recommend things that I don't 100% believe in and use myself. Thanks for listening.